TalkTainmentRadio.com.
We give you a reason to come.
The world's greatest radio.
We give you a reason to stay.
Radio the way it should be heard.
You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, 3MR Production, its ownership, management, or staff.
We've got the power.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard, the world's greatest radio. I'm Brother Kahari, sitting in every week at this time, every Wednesday, 10 a.m., live with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. How are you?
I'm still learning.
Mr. Fuller, you are the author of 2 definitive works on racism, and in those works you have, I guess what you would say, turned the whole discussion of it upside down and given the whole world a whole new way to examine and look at some of the issues that you have put forth. Mr. Fuller, what are the names of those works and how can we get them?
The name of the work is the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. The average person wouldn't know what that meant. In fact, no person would know what that meant until it's explained, which it is explained in the book. But a subtitle of the book that is more explanatory is a textbook, workbook for thought, speech, and/or action for victims of racism. And racism is defined as white supremacy. That's the only form of racism. There are no other forms of racism, so that would be controversial right out of the gate, I think. And that's the basic book, and then there's an extended book, in addition to the basic book, that is a compensatory counter-racist codified word guide. Now, that means that there are uses of words that will, when you use them, theoretically, they will help to counter the racism that is in place, because a lot of the racism that is in place, the dominant force among the people of the planet, is exercised, a lot of the power of the system of racism is exercised through the use of words. So through the use of words, we can counter that racism that is in place and replace it with something that is much better. Theoretically, with another word, and that word would be justice. Replace racism with justice. That should be the mantra. That should be the goal. And that's what the books are dedicated to. The books can be obtained by using the term producejustice.com.
Mm-hmm. Now you have to go up into the address section of the website, whether it's Google, Yahoo, whatever, wherever you're, there's those sections in, and type in www.producejustice.com, and that takes you right there. Then follow the steps that are necessary. Am I correct, Mr. Fuller?
For ordering, yes.
Yes, for ordering.
Producejustice.com.
All right. Mr. Fuller, I'm going to kind of follow your lead today in terms of what it is that you have been looking at and you want to focus on. So, Mr. Fuller, do you have, of course, the big news? We all know what's been in the news, this notion that there could be, and we talked a little bit about it last week, this religion has kind of taken center stage from everything that I can see. It would appear, but there's something else that's also going on around the country that I want to just throw out. This notion, some say, of targeting African American officials. We just heard, for example, that Kwame Kilpatrick, the former mayor of Detroit, was convicted on 23 or 24 counts. We also hear this morning that the lieutenant governor of Florida, I don't know if you're familiar with her name, is Jennifer Carroll. She also apparently stepped down because there was some alleged improprieties and that she's under state investigation. Florida Lieutenant Jennifer Carroll resigned Wednesday, 2 days after state law enforcement officials interviewed her about her work for a nonprofit organization under state investigation. Now, we just also had heard just recently about Reverend Jesse Jackson's son, Jesse Jackson Jr., and what's going on with him. And of course, here locally in Columbus and in Dayton and other places around, we see quite a few black elected officials becoming the subject of a lot of focus in terms of investigations and a host of other things. There's just so many. It just all of a sudden there seems to be a plethora, if I can use that word, of a lot of this going on. Does any of this surprise you, Mr. Fuller, and what are your thoughts about it?
None of it surprises me. It's a standard procedure. And every black person who's ever running for a dog catcher should know right out of the gate that they're coming after you about any nickel that you ever stole or any piece of candy that you ever took off of a candy store counter in your entire life. That's the first thing they look for. If you are in the business or you got an idea that you can pull something slick and you're supposed to be a black politician over the white supremacists, they are the masters of slickness. And every so-called politician who is black and or non-white and think that they can run on any platform, and they don't have that in their head right out of the gate, that they are coming after you for anything that you ever stole in life. And if you're in the process of stealing anything now, they are going to be right in line to know it. Don't think you can hide it. You're not that smooth. They are the masters of hiding things like that. They are the masters of theft of any kind. So that should be known by everybody. That should be so routine by now. If you're going to run for anything, any kind of public office, or try to get any kind of public job, the first thing you should think about is, have I ever done anything that is illegal that I think that people don't know about? Have I ever, in my entire existence, done anything that is considered to be illegal and or maybe so-called immoral? They're coming after me, and they know about it. And if they don't know about it, they'll find out in about 10 minutes. So don't think you can get away with anything if you are coming under the label of a aspiring black politician and or public official, quote unquote, anywhere on the planet. The white supremacists, that's who I'm talking about. They know all about you from the time you were born and even before you were born. And if they don't know it, and they want to know it, they can certainly find it out. You have to have that cemented in your mind. And don't think you can get away with anything, because they know how to get away with murder. And they know when you are getting away with it.
Well, it's quite interesting when you look at how it's starting to shape up, and how many of them. I really bring my attention back to two guys who a lot was expected from in the political arena, and their indictments or situations almost come back to back. One in young Kwame Kilpatrick out of Detroit. I don't know if you're familiar with him, Mr. Fuller. He was the mayor of Detroit for a few years, and he was recently indicted. And then they came in. First, he served 14 months, and then they just got him on federal charges. I think it was 23 to 24 or something. I'll get the specific information on it. But And then, of course, and that was right after Jesse Jackson Jr. So any key black people who looked like they had a future in that arena, now the latest guy that everybody's talking about is this Cory Booker out of Newark, New Jersey. He is now being looked upon as someone who they just said today he had a 43-point lead over his nearest opponent. So it looks like to me that they're probably going to try to jam him in there and then may run him for president again in a few years. I don't know. But, Mr. Fuller, let me get your thoughts on what happened to Jesse Jackson and Kwame Kilpatrick in terms of in this way, in the sense of they being young, future. They were kind of like future leaders. Or not future leaders, but future people who could be in a position to help black people in some way. Mr. Fuller.
Well, that's the way the system works. We're talking about we're in the system of white supremacy. That supremacy, that both of those words are very powerful. If you stop and think about it. White supremacy. We're either in this system or we're not. I say that we are. That's the dominant force on the planet. That means they are supreme in all areas of activity 24/7. They know everything that is going on with their subjects. That's logical that they would. It's just like a warden in a prison. You're not doing anything major in a prison that the warden doesn't know about. The warden knows about drugs being in the prison and whatnot, and knows about cigarettes being smuggled in or whatever, or knows about some of the other escapades that go on in a modern prison.
And
because the prison is run on certain principles. Every prison. Right. And the system of racism is a prison. It's a world prison. And the non-white people on the planet are subject to the wardens, who are the white supremacists, of that prison. So they know what's going on. You think you're sneaking this and sneaking that. You're not doing anything at all. They're sitting back looking at you, right at you, and laughing at you.
Mr.
And when they get ready to spring their trap, they will.
Now, I want to listen to something interesting. This is allegedly from the federal trial of Kwame Kilpatrick. You know, his father was also caught up in that trial, Bernard Kilpatrick. And here's a clip from his father demanding something from somebody, maybe allegedly a kickback or something. I'm not sure, but I'm going to try to play it if I can. And I want you to take a listen to it.
I can't get your phone call at this time.
Now, it's got graphic language, so I want you to be aware of it.
I will be on vacation until January the 7th, and we'll return all phone calls at that time. Thank you.
Yeah, man, this is BK. I'd appreciate a call today. Vacation or no motherfucking vacation.
Now, woo! This apparently was one. I mean, Detroit can get, I guess, kind of rough like any other place. But that's the trial of Kwame Kilpatrick. We're also looking at trials from around the country. It seems that there's a targeting going on, and that targeting is quite interesting, coming at a time where it's really targeting a lot of young and promising black elected officials. Cory Booker is the next one that they're touting, and I wonder what's in store from him. But right now, we've got Patricia from Los Angeles who is joining us. Patricia, welcome to the Compensatory Concept. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Great. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. This topic is very interesting to me. I try to listen every week, and I've seen just about all of your videos, Mr. Fuller, and I understand racism and white supremacy, and I agree with you. It's here, it's alive, but I don't want us to make excuses for our black people because of this racism, white supremacy. It has nothing to do with it. I don't think. I lived in Chicago, grew up there. Mm-hmm. And just the last few years, I mean, I'm in L.A. now, but I used to go to the offices of these aldermen and senators and Congress people, the black ones, not the senator. Mm-hmm. And because we had abandoned buildings in different neighborhoods, streets are nasty. I would go there and say, hey, can you do something? I wouldn't even get a call back. You see what I mean?
Wow.
So that has nothing to do with white supremacy. They're trifling. And we need to quit making excuses for them. Now, that trifling behavior has cost them. You're right about that. Because with Jesse Jackson Jr., I'm from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up in a fine home.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to do what he did, I'm not surprised, because that's how those black politicians are. You go in their communities, you see nothing but blight. Lots with dirty, filthy lots, buildings all abandoned. They could rehab those buildings, fix them up, put some homeless people in them. So I don't want us to make excuses for them. They need to have a conscience, do what's right. They wouldn't get caught. I don't even believe in this thing about getting caught. They shouldn't be doing it. They should be helping their people. Now, I live on the south side of Chicago, too. I know exactly where Obama's from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He's the same way. And he's bringing that same behavior into the White House. What behavior am I talking about? Working 2 or 3 hours a day, lazy, don't want to do anything, passing the buck to his subordinates, do this, do that, not using his head. That same mentality is right in the White House. Now, that has nothing to do with racism, white supremacy. We've got to get ourselves together. He got the highest office in the land. My great-great-grandmother died at 104.
Mm-hmm.
Grandma Frances was born in slavery. And they would turn over in their graves to see him in the White House. And he's in there just as lazy as he can be.
Now, why do when you say lazy, what do you mean?
He don't want to use his head. He don't want to get in there and dig in and learn. We knew he wasn't qualified as far as his experience, but the America said, give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
We figured he'd get in there, and dig in, working
and really
18, 20 hours a day. He's not doing anything. He's sloughing off and traveling, going on vacation. He's not trying to learn. You got to get in there and dig in there like Clinton. Clinton came out of there looking like he was 20 years older. Obama doesn't look older. He looks worried. He looks worried. That has nothing to do with working hard. So, Mr. Fuller,
you're saying a little bit too much partying by these people who are in those spots.
And worrying. And see, when you do your job, you don't have to worry, because you there and you're on it. You catch things when they come in. You can't rely on your subordinates. You can give direction, but they're looking to you for direction.
This is heavy. What? Ooh.
Right.
Mr. Fuller, hold on for a minute. Wait a minute. I want you to stay with me, okay?
Sure.
You're dropping some heavy dimes here. Mr. Fuller, let me get your response. She says that when we say white supremacy, we are in fact making excuses for the behavior of people who are in positions, and they should know better, and they should do better. Mr. Fuller.
Well, the system of white supremacy does not allow any black person to do anything that the white supremacists disapprove of. That's got to be understood right out of the gate. We're in a system of white supremacy. I have a saying in the beginning of the book, both of the books. If you don't understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will confuse you. And the white supremacists do not allow any black person anywhere on this planet, any minute of any day, to make any move that's going to be disfavorable to the system of white supremacy. They will let them make moves, and I understood this. I voted for President Obama, and I voted for him the second time, but that's only to get a little bit of training. I knew he wasn't going to be able to do anything significant because the white supremacists would not let him, even if he wanted to. So it doesn't have anything to do with what he wants and what he doesn't want. And that applies to any black person in a so-called position of power, because in the system of white supremacy, there's not a single black person anywhere on this planet is in a position of power. That is
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, and let me clarify to everybody what you're saying, because I understand. I'm deep. What you're saying is, white supremacy controls it. Now, here's what you're not telling people. You have a choice, like Cynthia McKinney. They told her what she better do, and she used her principles. She said, I'm not doing it. And so they kicked out. She said, fine, I'll go and find something else to do. See, that's what we have to do. You're right. White supremacy is there, but we have a choice. If they tell you you better not do this, and you can't help your people, and you can steal and do that, and you stay there and do it, then you're wrong. You're supposed to come on out of there, get some black people together, and we build and do something for ourselves. See, that's what you're not telling people. They have a choice. They're not just going to kill them. All that black caucus in Washington, they're doing is exactly what you said. White supremacy told them, the white supremacists tell them what you can't do, what you can do, and they're sitting there doing nothing. They're supposed to leave that office and get out of Washington. And that's the same thing with Obama. If they've got his hands tied and he's not doing a thing for the nation and black people either, he's supposed to resign and get out of there. See, that's not what you're not telling people that. You got to tell them that.
Wow, wait a minute. I want everybody to stay right there. Stay right there. Patricia, can you stay with us?
Sure.
Don't go nowhere. Mr. Fuller, don't go nowhere. This is I think, an extremely interesting discussion. Stay right there. More to come as we dig deeper into, is there an effort to eliminate black politicians, or are they stepping in the gap themselves? Stay right there. More to come on Compensatory Concept, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This program is brought to you by ClaySpace, a passion for pottery, art for the soul. 614-449-8144 or clayspace831.com.
This is Ted Williams, and you're listening to Afternoon Delight, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon Delight.
This is Ted Williams, and you're listening to Afternoon Delight, baby.
This is Ted Williams, and this is Afternoon Delight.
Afternoon Delight.
I'm Ted Williams, and this is Afternoon Delight on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon Delight.
Hi, I'm back. This is your platter playing Papa, spinning the wax on Afternoon Delight. This is the Golden Voice. I'm Ted Williams, right back and smack at you on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Ted,
where are you? When are you coming? Who are these imposters?
March 18th.
Hurry up and get here.
Afternoon Delight.
The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller is considered as one of the substantial and basic books for understanding and effectively countering racism. Neely Fuller will turn upside down everything you've heard and everything you think you know about racism and how it works. Call area code 202-484-5461. 202-484-5461.
I get my hair cut at Fees. Me and Dr. Peterman go there all the time. Dr. Peterman?
Well, let me get the thing straight. I don't get my hair cut. I get my hair styled.
I don't know what to laugh about besides my prices is so low. You can't beat them. My name is Felicia Humphrey, better known as Fifi. I am a licensed barber. I went to Ohio State Barber College. Been doing it for a while now, so it's 22 years. Fee's Barber Studio. It's at 3469 East Livingston Avenue. It's between Barnett and Kennard on the east side of Columbus. Yeah, I'm going to cut your hair the way you want it cut, not the way I want it cut. Faves, tapers, afros, beard trims, designer cuts, children's cuts, babies cuts, whatever kind of cut you like. Walk-ins are welcome. You can make an appointment with me mornings and nights. First-time clients, I take $5 off haircuts, $5 off children. If you come with a family, we definitely can make a deal with you. With the third cut, it's always half off.
Cuts by appointment. Call 614-515-0803 and walk-ins welcome. That's Fee's Barber Studio, 3469 East Livingston Avenue.
More people are dealing with depression, stress, and anxiety than ever before. Finances increase stress in stable relationships. Sometimes it's hard to go to work. Need a fresh start? Call 614-833-2684. Contact Noreen Palmer at Affirmative Counseling Associates for an appointment today. Call 614-833-2684. Or check out my profile at psychologytoday.com/Noreen Palmer. Knock out depression and stress starting today. Call 614-833-2684.
Are there hidden sex words that impact your brain? Are there secret images and symbols that manipulate and control your child's mind and behavior? Why are so many youth unable to resist the destructive sexual messages beamed into their brain without them knowing they are being manipulated? Do you want answers? Get the new book, Sex Code War by Kahari and Ahara. coming soon.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
I'm Tammy Rager, host of The Now Age and numerologist to the stars. I've got your lucky number on Conversate in the AM on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9:11 a.m. Make sure you tune in for your lucky number. Punch in TalkTameRadio.com and click on Listen Live and listen for your lucky number.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTameRadio.com, or radio, the way it should be heard. Just wanted to make a couple of announcements. My new book is coming out. Sex Code War will be coming out very soon. And also Ted, the Golden Voice Williams, the guy who was discovered, who was on Dr. Phil's show, to the Day Show, will start right here on Talktainment Radio on March the 18th at noon. So if you get a chance, spread the word. If you want to hear Ted the Golden Voice Williams, the only place in the world that you will be able to hear Ted the Golden Voice Williams is right here on TalkTainmentRadio.com starting March the 18th. All right, joining us is Mr. Neely Fuller, of course, and Patricia from L.A., and we're joined by Brenda from Chesapeake, Virginia, and I'm going to get to you in just a minute, Brenda. Mr. Fuller, could you tell us how to get your two definitive works before we go back to the discussion? Mr. Fuller.
You can get them on producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com. And what will come up on your screen is an order form and the prices of the books.
Okay, I
and a
appreciate
description of the books.
Okay, thank you. One of the things that we were talking about was the three situations that are making headline news across the country. One is that the lieutenant governor of Florida, who had to step down, she is under an investigation. The resignation and I guess the conviction of Reverend Jesse Jackson's son, Jesse Jackson Jr., and the conviction of former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick. And all of these were young people that much was expected out of. Now they're saying in New Jersey that Cory Booker, the current mayor of Newark, New Jersey, has a 43-point lead over his nearest competitor for the Senate seat in 2014. So a lot's going on in black politics. It appears that even where I'm from, Columbus, several young black politicians have been targeted. One or two of them in the Columbus-Dayton area have gone to jail. It just appears that there's a lot going on with the targeting, in particular of black elected officials. Now, Patricia from L.A. Believes that one of the things that we cannot do is make excuses, what she says are excuses for their corrupt behavior once they get in those positions. So, Brenda, I'm going to bring you in. You probably have heard the conversation, so I want to get your take on it. Brenda, you're on.
Okay, I just wanted to get Patricia's information so I could talk to her personal. And I just feel personally Obama is doing everything that he possibly can, because everything he tried to do to racist white supremacy, change it. So
well, hold on for a minute. Somebody turn down your computer, because I'm getting feedback, and what I want the world to hear you, and it's important when we do that. Thank you so much, because we are on a delay. Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you. Go ahead, caller. Turn it down. Thank you. Okay, Brenda.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brenda. Mm-hmm.
What I was saying was Obama is doing everything that he can. They trying to make it look like he's just partying, having a good time, and being lazy and doing nothing. Obama is doing a wonderful job, and we as black people need to stop going against our own people and trying to encourage them. Because
okay, I'm still getting feedback. Somebody still has
hold on a minute. Let me go on.
Yes, please turn that down. Thank you. Patricia, did you want to, I'll give her a chance to come back, but did you want to give your thoughts on what she's saying?
Yes, I want to mention what Mr. Fuller said earlier, how the white supremacists, they know everything about all of our politicians. They've got stuff on them. They run like a J. Edgar Hoover on them. I mean, they're heavier than J. Edgar Hoover. was. And so I think what's going on now.
Okay, Brenda, hold on. I'm going to let Patricia finish, and then I'll come back to you, Brenda. Okay, Patricia, go ahead.
I think what's going on now, and that's what you started to show with why are they exposing all of these black politicians right now. Well, there's a plan. The plan is they're scaring the others. See, this is what's going on. They're not doing this just for any other reason. That's how they got Jesse Jackson Jr. They're trying to tell all the black politicians and the white ones, because they're getting ready to do some big stuff in this nation. It's coming up very soon. They're letting them know that we can get any of you anytime we want to, and we can send you to prison anytime we want. See, they're putting fear in the hearts of our politicians. That's why you haven't seen Rand Paul is the only one standing up, him and Cruz and a few others.
On the drones.
They're silent, right, because they've got some dirt in their closets. We'll send them to penitentiary for life. And so that's what they're doing now. It's a purpose. See, like Mr. Fuller said, they don't do things just to be doing it. There's a reason why they're sending blacks, especially to prison, in case the black caucus get a big head, think they want to stand up and do something. So we're going to have some war. See, I don't want Obama being used. See, he's going to be used, maybe start a thermonuclear war. See, he's being used, and it's not worth it. He's got to get out of there. Now, he decided to go into politics. He may have to even give his life if he wants to step down. You know, it's just a lot of stuff going on right now. I can feel it. I'm a very sensitive person. I can feel there's a lot going on. And I say that when we get into politics and things like that, we have to take our principles with us. Even take your Bible if you have to.
That's heavy. Miss Brenda, I'm going to give you, I'm going to bring you back in. Then I've got Prism from the Northeast. Then I'm going to come back to Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, Brenda.
Well, look, I just need to talk to Patricia personal. I will give my phone number for her to call me after the show.
I don't want any phone numbers, ma'am.
Okay.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Okay, well, that's fine then.
Okay.
I'll just step on out, okay? Y'all just go ahead and do your thing, okay?
Okay, well, I mean, feel free to stay in the conversation because your opinion is also welcome here. I mean, we're all trying to work through this and figure out what's going on, so don't feel that way. I mean, your opinion is just as strong and solid as anybody else's here. Okay, so feel free to speak up. I mean, I'd like to hear more of what you have to say.
Well, I'm just saying that we as black people shouldn't keep trying to talk against our own people. We should try to encourage them no matter what they're doing, because Obama is doing the best he can do. It seems like everybody's against him, the white people, the black people, everybody. You know, it's like he don't have a chance, you know, because he don't even have the support of his own people.
Okay.
And nobody can really say what he's doing because you don't know. Only thing the media is showing you of the little stuff he's doing and making it look like he's doing nothing. He's getting death threats every day.
Okay, hold on, Brenda. Let's go to Prism from the Northeast. Prism, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Brother Kahari.
All right, good to hear from you. Go ahead and speak.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you taking my call. I want to give my best wishes to Mr. Fuller and the guests that are talking on the phone. I just had a concern. The caller from Los Angeles, I believe.
Patricia, yes.
Patricia. She said a couple of things I find intriguing. She said, for instance, that based on her, I'm sure she's looked very deeply into the president's schedule. And she has found that he is not working as much as he should. He's vacationing too much. And she also just said that Rand Paul and Ted Cruz are working very hard. So I'm to assume that she has information that many of us don't have about their work schedule and their daily activity. I find it concerning that she would take the position that the president has not worked very hard. I've been paying attention to him for a few years now, and I haven't seen his work schedule. I can't say what she said and be absolutely accurate about it. But Mr. Fuller has said quite a bit about this. He's talked about the fact that his book wouldn't mean much if there was a solution to this problem. And Patricia sounds as if she's got the solution to the problem. So I was really interested in hearing her solution. What she said was not a solution. What she said was not a solution.
Well, let's give her a chance to respond, because I think you've said some pretty interesting things yourself. So, Patricia, did you want to respond? And then I want to go back to Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, Patricia.
Sure. I never said Obama wasn't doing anything. I'm talking about the substance. You know, I don't know what his hours are, but I mean the substance of what he's doing now. Rand Paul. I mean, you know what he did? He staged that in Congress.
Filibuster.
I mean,
Yeah.
The filibuster. I mean, for the NDAA. I mean, come on now. Who do you think is going to be arrested under that NDAA? Black men. They need more and more black men in these prisons. The prison industrial complex, that's going to be hit. Obama signed that. See, I'm not looking at his race. I'm looking at what he's doing. He just happens to be a black man. That's how I see it. I don't just zoom in and say he's a black man and here's my, you know, I'm loyal. Now, as far as Cruz and Rand Paul, they
under the system of racism and white supremacy, if the president signs anything, it's because the people behind him that are practicing racism and white supremacy have required that he sign something like that. So you're
right.
that
yes, the
the president is impervious to racism.
But I'm saying,
I'm taking the position that Mr. Fuller takes, that we live in a racist construct, and anything that he does, he's going to do either with the permission of the racist, or he's not going to get it done.
I think, Prism, what I hear Patricia saying is that she understands all that. She just wants these people who are in this position to stop participating in the deception. That's what I hear. Am I correct, Patricia?
Yes. See, we have a choice. You can say yes or no. Cynthia McKinney says, I'm not going for it. She said, I'm out of here. You know, they got her out of there. You have to do that. See, it's not about making a dollar anymore. This is the country, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. You got to look ahead 100 years. People looking a week ahead to pay the rent. You can't look like that. You know, come on now. This man is signing the NDAA. We're getting ready to try to talk about thermonuclear war. North Korea talking about sending something over here. If they do, China might follow them. I mean, this is getting serious. You know, Hugo Chavez, they think he's been poisoned or whatever. This is some serious business here. If Obama can't handle it, and he don't want to go in like they want him to do, the white supremacists, like Mr. Fuller says, you either going to do or you don't. He needs to step aside.
Let me bring in Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller, let me hear your comments on all of this exchange.
Well, all of these point of views, I mean, should be considered, and these suggestions should be considered. But then, where is the cutoff point when it comes to the step aside? See, we've worked for years to get black people in positions. We say, you know, there's nobody but white faces up there, and we're had to put up with that and put up with that and put up with that. So finally, we get one or two black people here and one or two black people there, and then over a period of several decades, we get a whole ocean of black people, and then the white supremacists who are still in charge of everything, including allowing, and I want to underline, allowing a black person to run for anything, dog catcher or whatever, president, leader of a so-called country. I'm talking worldwide here. The system of white supremacy, it has to be understood. You're always in it. There's no such thing as being able to find a little nook somewhere where you're not in it. There are no nooks. You're always under the thumb of the white supremacists. So any black person on any little school council or whatnot who says, well, I want to get a playground for the black children. And the white supremacists sit right there at that same table and said, well, we gave you that position, but you're not getting a playground. You can draw a salary. You can have a good time. You can buy yourself a big house. That's why we gave you the position. But you are not getting a playground for the kids over in the northeast section of this city. Now, the black person can make a decision and say, well, if I can't get a playground for the kids, or if I can't get a library for the kids, then I'm out of here. And they say, well, goodbye, you know. And so we're still not going to do it. I mean, so what are you going to do? You're going to be on one yourself? No, because if we wanted your people to have anything, we would do it and take the credit for it. I mean, the only reason we got you up here is just a showcase. See, and I've used that term showcasing all along. Black people, all black people, under the system of white supremacy, who have a so-called position of power, are being showcased. But we have to understand that. So what do we get out of the deal? The only thing you get out of the deal is that they get a little training in how things are run, because you've got to start somewhere. Otherwise, it's going to the back of the bus and just sitting there and smoldering and talking about how much we don't like how things are. You even in a prison, And I usually sometimes point to a movie called Shawshank Redemption. And there's a lesson in that movie that even under the harshest conditions, even under the conditions when the prisoner didn't know, Andrew Dufresne, he was a prisoner, didn't know what to do or how to go about getting anything done, he knew that he was in prison, and he knew that he couldn't do most of the major things that he wanted to get done, but he knew he would do a little better if he was working in the warden's office, because at least he could learn how the prison is run, and he could also learn all the things that the warden was doing and how it shouldn't be done and how it should be done. And that's all that black people are going to get out of any of these so-called positions is a little bit of training, because they're not going to be able to do anything for black people that the white supremacists can't already do for black people without any black people being involved at all, if they wanted to do it. It's all in understanding the system of white supremacy.
But you forgot a part, Mr. Fuller. You forgot a part. What you forgot is we cannot think that way, quite what you're saying, Mr. Fuller, anymore. We can't do it because we're being destroyed anyway. So I say we go down fighting. So they got to come out of Congress. We can put everything together, build our own nation. If they want to come and get us, let them kill us all at once. See, we got to die now. There's no such thing as being scared they're going to get us. That's over. We're dying. Our children are killing each other. It's really bad. The government don't want to do anything for black folks. Some folks got to start dying. Dr. King was the last one to die. That's why we don't have a darn thing. Jesse, none of them, they haven't even been shot at. To tell you how much they're doing.
I tell you what, I want everybody to stay right there. Wow. This is a dynamite discussion, and this is the compensatory concept. We'll be back with Brother Prism, Sister Patricia, and, of course, Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. and you. Stay right there. More to come on the compensatory concept, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This program is brought to you by ClaySpace, a passion for pottery, art for the soul. 614-449-8144 or ClaySpace831.com.
This is Ted Williams, and you're listening to Afternoon Delight, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon Delight.
This is Ted Williams, and you're listening to Afternoon Delight, baby.
Afternoon Delight.
This is Ted Williams, and this is Afternoon Delight.
Afternoon Delight.
I'm Ted Williams, and this is Afternoon Delight on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon Delight.
Hi, I'm back. This is your platter playing Papa, spinning the wax on Afternoon Delight. This is the Golden Voice. I'm Ted Williams, right back and smack at you on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Ted.
Where are you? When are you coming? Who are these imposters?
March 18th.
Hurry up and get here.
Afternoon Delight.
Are there hidden sex words that impact your brain? Are there secret images and symbols that manipulate and control your child's mind and behavior? Why are so many youth unable to resist the destructive sexual messages beamed into their brain without them knowing they are being manipulated? Do you want answers? Get the new book, Sex Code War by Kahari and Ahara, coming soon.
The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller is considered as one of the substantial and basic books for understanding and effectively countering racism. Neely Fuller will turn upside down everything you've heard and everything you think you know about racism and how it works. Call area code 202-484-5461. 202-484-5461.
I'm Tammy Rager, host of The Now Age and numerologist to the stars. I've got your lucky numbers on Converse Satan the AM on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9:11 a.m. Make sure you tune in for your lucky number. Punch in TalkTainmentRadio.com and click on Listen Live and listen for your lucky number.
This is the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio the way it should be heard. I'm Brother Kahari, sitting in every week with Mr. Fuller. You can catch him live on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Or if you can't catch him live, you can always go to TalkTainmentRadio.com and look up podcast. Type in compensatory concept programs, and then type in podcast. And not type in podcast, and then go to programs, which are podcasts, and then pull up the compensatory concept with Mr. Fuller, and you can hear other shows that we've done. Let's go. We have Mr. Fuller here, of course, with us. We have Patricia from L.A. and Prism from the Northeast. Let's go to Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller, it is said that in black politics, I'm kind of refreshing everybody's memory about what happened to Kwame Kilpatrick, former Detroit mayor, and some of the just ridiculous stuff that they were able to find on him. And then you had Jesse Jackson Jr. Allegedly, he was, trying to buy a Senate seat, and then he got caught up in $750,000. A paltry sum when you really look at it. Then you've got this woman down in Florida, the former the former lieutenant governor, who much was thought that she may have a shot at running for governor. And so it's just a lot of targeting goes on. And so we've opened up the discussion about black elected officials and where this is going. And I'm even, we even hearing rumors of the possibility of a black man being elected pope. So all of these strange changes are on the horizon. Yet this is a very confusing time to many people. So, Mr. Fuller, let's go. Let me get back to you in where you say, what should we do and how should we look at all of this, Mr. Fuller? When we see it, what should we be thinking and what should we be saying?
Well, there's a number of things, but first of all, you have to understand the system of white supremacy. But one thing each and every individual black person can do, first of all, we're talking about leaders. I'm trying to wrap my mind around the best way of getting focus on all of these programs so we don't keep going around in the proverbial circle. Every black person should understand that in a system of white supremacy, no black person makes the final decisions on anything of any consequence, nowhere on the planet. That includes the so-called presidents of black countries in so-called Africa or in the islands and all like that. They're just being showcased. They are under the system of white supremacy, too. Anything that they try to do that's really going to have a major effect on the progress of black people. And if it's approved of, naturally, the white supremacists will say, well, we can let them have that. And so they will rubber stamp it, and it will be passed on. But if there's anything that the white supremacists disapprove of, they would just simply say, you're not going to get it. And they'll tell that so-called black leader. And I say so-called black leader because there's no such thing as a black leader in the system of white supremacy. All of the leaders of black people throughout this entire planet are white. I'm going to say that again. All of the leaders on this entire planet of black people are white supremacists. I want that to be firmly rooted in everybody's mind. There's no such thing as a black leader. These are black spokespersons. What is the difference between a leader and a spokesperson? A spokesperson is a person that speaks. A leader has power, has muscle. A leader can tell you one time, you're either going to do what I want done or else. And I'm not going to tell you but once, because I don't have to tell you twice, because I got the muscle to do what I want done. I got enough people backing me up in what I want done to overrule anything who's opposing me or anybody who's opposing me. That's a leader. No black person has that kind of muscle. None. Nowhere on the planet. So all black people, including everybody that we call black leaders, are in a position of doing what? Making requests. Request means you ask once. If you ask twice, you're begging. But all black people, the spokespersons, They're not leaders. They're spokespersons. They can ask, and then they can beg. They can go to the second thing. You can make a request, and when you ask twice, now you're begging. But we are all in position of being beggars because the world is a prison. And when you are a prisoner of war, you are a beggar if you're talking to the prison master. You're begging. You can't go off somewhere and say, well, if he doesn't want to do what I want done, I can do this. I can go back to my cell and I can do this and I can do that. You got to remember, you're in the master of the prison cell. There's nowhere on the planet you can go set up your own thing. I've heard this for years. It doesn't work. There's no island or any place that you can go to and say, okay, we're not paying any attention to you. We're going to build up our own thing. We're going to do our own thing. We don't need your authorization. Okay, well, black people have been saying that, but any black person who's ever tried it has found out that when they got to the place that they were going to set themselves up, the white supremacists were sitting right there saying, you're not doing nothing here. You don't understand white supremacy at all. Supremacy means supreme, mister. It means everywhere, not just some places. There's no place to hide. You can't hide from me. You got to deal with me. Now, figure out how to do that. If you're going to consider yourself smart, or you're going to brag about your Black History Month and all like that, get in my face. Get in my face. You can do that kind of nonsense among yourselves. But when it comes down to the rubber meeting the road, you got to get in my face and deal with me, and you don't know how to do it because your record shows that you don't know how to do it. And we got to face that. That's why I wrote my books.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that each and every individual person, don't look to a leader to do anything, whether they're white or non-white. Each and every individual person who is classified as non-white has to figure out a way every day to interact with white people on a one-on-one basis in a way that has a constructive result for everybody, because that's ultimately what you want.
Okay. Let me give Prism a chance to respond, and I'm going to come back to Patricia. Prism?
Thank you, Brother Kahari. You know, when I listen to Mr. Fuller, I realize that I can stay off this phone and sit back and listen. I don't need to call, but my blood gets going sometimes when I hear something. Mr. Fuller is always on point. I'm just going to say this to wrap up my commentary, that there's never been a time, Patricia talked about black people going out and being willing to die. There's never been a time when we didn't die, whether we were willing to or not. Just as recently as a week ago in New York City, another 16-year-old boy lost his life at the hands of law enforcement. And there's never been a time I can think of, even going back to Trayvon and the young Davis fellow who died a few months ago. We are always dying. The purpose behind our dying isn't clear, but the system continues to function. So we all are in support of racism, white supremacy in one way or another. Mr. Fuller has talked about that. If it isn't over, it's still existing, then we are supporting it, even in our resistance to it. That's a weird thing and a complex thing to understand, but it's absolutely true. So in this period of refinement, in terms of racism, I wanted Patricia to think about something before I leave the phone, that when we talk about the administration of this president, the only other time I've heard about a bad administration or a period of time politically when it was the worst in this country's history was 1865 to 1877. Now, what happened between 1865 and 1877? Well, that's the Reconstruction years, and that's when black men finally got a chance to sit in positions of power and make decisions. That ended very, very quickly, and it ended with an unbelievable amount of violence and hostility directed at us. And here we go, 100 years later, just about, well, over 100 years, and we're having the same discussion about how poorly run the administration is, and this time it's another black man who is trying to make decisions that will slow the damage done by racism. I think more than anything else, that's probably what he's done. He's slowed it down. Has he eradicated it? Absolutely not. No one man can do that. And the system of racism, white supremacy, is not going to allow that to happen. So thank you, Brother Carr, for taking my call and for being able to listen to Mr. Fuller again. I appreciate it.
Okay. Patricia, I want to give you a chance to respond.
Yes. I guess I agree with just about everything Mr. Fuller says, but I don't want us to make, when I listen to Mr. Fuller sometimes, he seems to make the white supremacists like a god, like they're all powerful. They're the most intelligent people on earth. That's a lie. Evil is not intelligent, and I'm not calling you a liar. Evil is not intelligence. I don't agree with that. They're not all powerful. God is powerful, and we have God within us. We can speak the word, learn what's going on out here, and speak the word. We can bring all of that down. See, it's that fear factor you're putting in there. I don't fear no man. I don't care what color he is. Okay? We have power within ourselves to take them out.
What do you mean? What do you mean by fear factor?
The fear factor is they can get you. You can't do nothing. They are all powerful. They see everything. They're most intelligent. That is not true. We are the most intelligent black people, but we've given our power over to them due to this brainwashing that we're not. I know my power, and I know it's in my words. My power, our power is in the power of the tongue. That's what Dr. King used here, is in the power of the tongue. You don't have to do a lot. You say things. And we need to, we don't need to make people fearful of white people. They need our help. Something's wrong with the people if they try to take over the whole world, killing millions of people all over the planet, confiscating land that they can't even live on. Something's wrong with them. They're not intelligent. That's not intelligence. That's evil. Let's call it for what it is, Mr. Fuller.
Mr. Fuller?
Well, I agree with the lady, but it's a matter of we're on the same page, I think, but I don't think that it's being interpreted that way. And what I'm saying is being misinterpreted. I didn't say that the white supremacists are gods. I said that they are supreme, white based on being white. Supreme over whom? Over non-white people. And I never said that this problem can't be solved. I've told people for years, if the problem can't be solved, why would I be talking about it? There's no point in talking about a problem that can't be solved. The problem can be solved, but you have to do it scientifically. Now, let's just mention a few things like the word fear. That's been mentioned. I'm fearful, very fearful of the white supremacists, but there is such a thing as intelligent fear. Fear serves a purpose, just like everything in the universe. See, we have to tap into the things that we do have. Fear is one of them. And so you say, how do you use your fear? How do you use your fear in an intelligent manner? I'm afraid of snakes, and spiders or whatnot, and I might have a slight fear, I might have a great fear. But what overcomes fear? Knowledge and understanding. You have to know and understand how the white supremacists operate. That's why I put it in the front of the book, and I'm going to say it again. If you don't understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you understand will confuse you. Underline confuse. And that's the reason we're in the shape that we're in. We are confused. But the more we become less confused, we can solve this problem. And there's a way to do it. You first study your opponent, the white supremacists themselves.
That's right. You taught me a lot about them. You really have. And so I've done my own thinking and reading, after you exposed me. So you're right. You exposed me to all of this, and I did research. I've been studying you for about a year, constantly. All of your readings, your writings, your videos, and everything. So you're right. But, I respect you, Mr. Fuller, and you too, Akari. You have a great show.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for being a part of it. And feel free to call anytime because Mr. Fuller is like me. We both like to hear different opinions and different views. We don't put down anybody. We welcome everybody's view. If it doesn't line up with ours, that's okay. I mean, you're entitled to it. But also, I think what we had this morning is what I like, a respectful discussion. And a good, we had a difference of opinion, but okay. But yet, and still, we really weren't that far apart. So,
right. No, we're not. Just a few things there.
Yeah, just a few things. Mr. Fuller, we got about 20 seconds. I'm going to give you closing thoughts.
Thank you.
Well,
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Just to tap into what you just said, that's the process, the United Independent. That's the title of the book, United Independent. We're united in what we're trying to do, or we should be united, but we are independent in our thoughts about how to go about doing it, since no one has ever solved this problem. So all voices should be welcome. Even the feeblest voice should be welcome to the discussion, because you never know when someone comes up with a little gem that can be used to get this thing done, because it can be done.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. I appreciate you as always. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters.
You got the power. Radio, the way it should be heard.